What started as a fairy tale love story on Love Island USA Season 7 turned into one of the messiest reality TV scandals we've seen in years. Nic and Olandria, the couple everyone called Nicolandria, went from villa sweethearts to public enemy #1 for some fans. Cierra's mental health crisis, Ace's betrayal, Taylor caught in the middle, and wild accusations about Harper's Bazaar covers, this whole situation spiraled completely out of control. The craziest part? Most people don't even know what really happened behind the scenes. If you want the full story with all the tea and none of the BS, you're definitely in the right place. But first, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button, because apparently I need to beg you like I'm Nick trying to convince Cierra he wants to explore his options. Just click it. It's free. I promise it won't hurt as much as watching Casa Amor.
Let's rewind to where this whole mess started. Love Island USA Season 7 kicked off with the usual drama, beautiful people, and questionable decision-making. But three names kept popping up throughout the season: Nic, Olandria, and Cierra. From day one, Cierra came into that villa like a woman on a mission. She'd watched the show before entering as a bombshell, which meant she saw everything that happened. She knew Olandria had kissed Nic first in the blindfold challenge. She knew there was something brewing between them. And what did she do with that information? She went straight for Nic anyway. Now, you've got to give it to Cierra. Girlfriend knew how to play the game. She said all the right things, planted that kiss on him in the same episode they met, and basically made sure Nic didn't have time to think about anyone else. Every time a new bombshell walked in, Cierra would turn up the charm to keep his attention locked on her. Meanwhile, Olandria was stuck dealing with Taylor, the country boy who had her heart doing backflips one minute and breaking the next.
The thing about Taylor was complicated. He and Olandria had this undeniable chemistry, both being from the South and all. But then came that gut-wrenching moment during the Stand on Business challenge when Taylor had to choose between Olandria and Clark. He picked Clark. The whole villa felt that one. Olandria stood there trying to keep it together, but you could see her heart shatter into a million pieces. That moment changed everything. But here's where it gets interesting. Even though Cierra and Nic were supposedly solid, people who paid attention noticed something. Nic kept trying to pump the brakes. He'd suggest Cierra explore other connections. He'd have these conversations that seemed like he was trying to keep things casual. But Cierra either didn't pick up on it or chose to ignore every single sign. She told everyone they were closed off, that Nic said it was her, that they had plans for the outside world. Except when you go back and watch, Nic never quite said those things the way she claimed.
Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Right before the finale, news broke that Cierra had to leave the villa. The show said it was for personal reasons, but fans knew exactly what happened. Old posts surfaced where she'd used some seriously offensive language, and the backlash was immediate. Within hours, she lost over 100,000 Instagram followers. The show had no choice but to remove her, leaving Nic completely blindsided and single with just days left until the finale. Nic was lost. He literally said in his confessional that his mind was clear before, he knew what his future looked like, and suddenly everything was gone. But then, the producers pulled off one of the wildest moves in Love Island history. They brought Nic and Olandria together for a date outside the villa. Both had been eliminated in separate recouplings during Casa Amor. Olandria when nobody picked her, and Nic when the girls chose other guys over him. But here they were, finally getting their shot.
Sitting under those twinkle lights, sipping champagne, they opened up about everything. Olandria told Nic about what Cierra had been doing at Casa Amor with a guy named ISALND. Nic told Olandria about Taylor and Clark's situation. The chemistry that fans always said was there, it was undeniable. Then came the text that changed everything. They could either stay single and leave, or couple up and go back to the villa together. The choice was obvious. They went back in as a couple and ended up taking second place in the finale. But winning or losing didn't matter to the fans who loved them,
Nicolandria was born, and their supporters were ride or die from day one. Unfortunately, that's also when the real problems started.
Once everyone left the villa and got their phones back, things got weird fast. Cierra started doing things that made people raise their eyebrows. She was constantly trying to be around Nicolandria, posting subliminal messages on social media, and just generally acting suspicious. People couldn't figure out why she wanted to stay so close to the couple, especially to Olandria, who she had supposedly befriended in the villa. Remember that moment when Cierra chose to stand behind Taylor during his elimination instead of supporting Olandria? That was the moment Olandria realized their friendship wasn't what she thought it was. That betrayal cut deep. So when Cierra kept trying to insert herself into their lives after the show, Nic and Olandria made a decision. They weren't going to engage. Nic explained in interviews that he couldn't risk talking to Cierra because anything he said could be twisted or misinterpreted. He didn't want to end up in a he said, she said situation, so he just opted out completely. Olandria did the same. They chose themselves and their relationship over entertaining someone whose actions on the show proved she couldn't be trusted. And you know what? I don't blame them one bit for that choice.
Hey, quick thing. If you're enjoying this deep dive into reality TV chaos, go ahead and subscribe. I promise my content is more consistent than Ace's loyalty to his friends. Plus, you'll want to be here for all the other wild stories I've got coming. Now, back to this absolute mess. The drama reached peak insanity when Cierra posted a video talking about her mental health. Now, mental health is serious, and nobody should diminish what anyone goes through, but the timing of this video raised some serious questions. It dropped right when Olandria's Harper's Bazaar Vietnam cover was announced. Not a week before, not a few days later, the exact same time Olandria was celebrating one of her biggest career achievements. That coincidence felt a little too convenient for a lot of people. In the video, Cierra talked about struggling and facing hate online. She mentioned how difficult everything had been since leaving the show. And suddenly, people started pointing fingers at Nicolandria, saying they were responsible for Cierra's mental health struggles. The accusations flew fast. Nic's fans were supposedly leaving hateful comments. Olandria was being painted as heartless for not reaching out, and basically, they were being blamed for someone else's well-being.
Here's what got lost in all of that. Nic and Olandria were also facing massive amounts of hate. Since leaving the villa, they've been attacked from every direction. People who supported Cierra came after them. Fans of Huda, another Islander, targeted them constantly. Even supporters of couples like Shell and Ace threw negativity their way. When you're the most successful couple from your season, everyone wants to tear you down. Olandria couldn't even escape the hate at the reunion. She broke down crying, talking about what she'd been through, and the show barely aired any of it. Other Islanders, like Jeremiah, confirmed that way more happened than what made it to the final cut. The difference between how Cierra and Olandria handled the hate is stark. Cierra stayed on social media, engaging with it, letting it consume her. Olandria, on the other hand, focused on the positive. They acknowledged the love from their fans, went on trips together to meet supporters in person, and used that positivity to drown out the negativity.
But apparently, when you handle your struggles privately and keep building your success, you don't get the same sympathy. Nobody was making videos about Nic and Olandria's mental health. They were expected to just deal with it silently while being accused of causing someone else's pain. The double standard was glaring and honestly pretty disgusting when you think about it. Then, just when you thought the drama couldn't get more complicated, Ace decided to drop a nuclear bomb on his supposed friends. Ace, who spent the entire season as Nic's closest boy in the villa, went on the 360 with Speedy podcast and completely blindsided everyone. When asked if he thought Nicolandria's relationship was real, he went silent. Then he started insinuating that their connection might be surface level and intentional, basically calling them fake without directly saying it. The fallback was immediate and brutal. Fans felt betrayed on Nic and Olandria's behalf. Here was someone who acted like their best friend in the villa, who they confided in and trusted, publicly questioning their entire relationship.
Ace tried to soften it by saying he respected Olandria and considered her a friend, but the damage was done. He even had the audacity to say Olandria had told him about her type and that Nic didn't fit it. He claimed Nic had tested their connection and decided it wasn't enough, which is why he went back to Cierra. Except that's not what happened. Anyone who watched the show could see that producers forced certain situations. Nic was trying to be honest about wanting to explore connections, which is literally the point of Love Island. But Ace twisted the narrative to make it sound like Nic was playing games. Other Islanders, like Chelly, Hannah, and Iris, jumped in with their own responses. And suddenly, the whole Season 7 cast was imploding on social media. Even past season stars, like Jaina Craig and Leah Kateb from Season 6, got dragged into it.
Olandria's response to Ace was perfectly petty. She tweeted something like, "Chile, anyways, my event at Tuskegee went amazing yesterday," and then deleted it. That's how you handle someone trying to come for you. Acknowledge they spoke, then immediately show them you're too busy winning to care. Nic's response was similar. They didn't engage in a back and forth. They just kept living their lives and letting their success speak for them. Meanwhile, Ace's true colors were showing, and fans weren't here for it. The man who positioned himself as the villa's mastermind and ultimate strategist ended up looking like someone who couldn't handle his friends being more successful than him. Just when you thought we'd covered all the controversies, along comes the Harper's Bazaar situation. A guy named Luis Pisano decided to tweet that Olandria paid for her Harper's Bazaar Vietnam cover. He put it out there like it was fact, and immediately haters jumped on it as proof that Olandria wasn't actually that successful, that it was all bought and paid for, that she was faking her way into the fashion world.
There's only one problem with that theory. It's complete nonsense. Anyone who understands how magazine covers work knew immediately that Luis was either completely ignorant or deliberately spreading false information. Magazine covers, especially for publications like Harper's Bazaar, are PR placements. They're free. The only time money exchanges hands between a brand or person and a magazine is when someone buys advertising space. A cover feature is editorial content, which means the magazine chooses who they want to feature based on relevance, buzz, and whether that person will sell issues or get clicks. Think about it logically. Harper's Bazaar Vietnam picked ISALND because she had massive buzz, millions of followers watching her every move, and represented something their audience wanted to see. The magazine benefited from featuring her just as much as she benefited from the exposure. That's how this industry works. Someone has to pitch the idea. Sure, ISALNDria's PR team probably reached out and said, "Hey, she's having a moment, this would be great timing." But Harper's Bazaar made the final call because they saw the value in it. They wouldn't waste a cover on someone nobody cared about, paid or not.
Multiple people who actually work in PR and media came forward to explain this. The process is straightforward. You pitch, they evaluate if it makes sense for their brand and audience, and if everyone agrees, it happens. No money changes hands. The fact that so many people believed Louise's claim without doing 2 seconds of research shows how desperate some folks were to diminish Olandria's accomplishments. They couldn't stand to see her winning, so they tried to convince everyone it was fake. But here's the beautiful thing. While haters were obsessing over whether she paid for the cover, Olandria was booking more gigs. She walked in NYFW shows. She attended the VMAs. She showed up to the CFDA Awards. She was honored at Glamour's Women of the Year event. She covered Ebony magazine as their People's Choice honoree. Her calendar was packed with appearances, fashion events, and opportunities that proved the industry was taking her seriously. You can't fake that level of success. No amount of money buys you legitimate industry respect if you don't have what it takes.
The Harper's Bazaar Vietnam shoot itself was stunning. Olandria wore incredible high fashion pieces, including this gorgeous burnt orange ensemble with a dramatic pearl embellishment, and a dreamy white look with an extravagant headpiece. She talked in her interview about how growing up in Alabama influenced her style, how Southern fashion shaped her love for clean, sophisticated looks with personality. She embodied that Bama Barbie energy perfectly, proving she understood fashion on a deeper level than people gave her credit for. Meanwhile, the same people trying to discredit her magazine cover were silent about her legitimate accomplishments. Funny how that works. But wait, there's more drama, because this season can't let us breathe. Huda, another Islander from Season 7, found herself at the center of a completely separate controversy that somehow still connected back to Nicolandria. During a live stream, someone in the comments allegedly used a slur directed at Olandria, and Huda apparently didn't shut it down appropriately. When clips started circulating and people realized what happened, the backlash was swift and severe.
Brands started dropping Huda left and right. Huda Beauty, yes, the makeup brand with a similar name, cut ties. Gymshark ended their partnership. Suddenly, the influencer deals she'd been counting on were disappearing. Huda eventually issued an apology, but it felt performative to many people. She claimed she reflected on her actions and realized the language was targeted at Olandria, as if that wasn't immediately obvious from the context. She pledged to donate to the NAACP and encourage fans to do the same, but it came across like damage control after losing those brand deals rather than genuine remorse. Other Islanders jumped into the conversation, with people like Chelly, Hannah, and Iris sharing their perspectives. Even past season stars got involved. The whole situation revealed how much animosity existed behind the scenes and how Olandria had been dealing with attacks from multiple angles, sometimes subtle, sometimes blatant, but constant.
Through all of this, Olandria handled herself with remarkable grace. She addressed the situation briefly, then moved on to focus on her work and the positive things happening in her life. She didn't let the drama define her or derail her momentum. Meanwhile, her haters stayed pressed, watching her continue to rise no matter how hard they tried to bring her down. If you've made it this far, I'm impressed, and you definitely deserve some more content like this. Smash that subscribe button because clearly you enjoy watching me break down reality TV disasters. And I've got plenty more where this came from. I mean, Love Island gives us new material every single season, so we're set for years. Don't be shy, just click it. So, where do things stand now with Nicolandria after all this chaos? Despite everything thrown at them, they're actually thriving. At the reunion, they opened up about their relationship and the external pressures they've been facing. Nic talked about how people expected them to have a label by now, to be officially boyfriend and girlfriend with all the traditional markers. Olandria mentioned how insane the social media comments had gotten, with people trying to dictate their timeline and relationship choices.
But they both agreed on one thing. They weren't letting outside pressure dictate how they moved. They've always been believers in taking their time, in building something real without rushing because fans wanted content or wanted them to fit a specific mold. And honestly, that's the healthiest approach possible after coming off a show like Love Island. They talked about going on trips together, having future dates planned, checking things off Olandria's bucket list of crazy experiences she's always wanted to try. Nic said one of the sweetest things, that whatever she wants, he wants to make sure it happens. The way he looks at her, the way she lights up talking about their plans, none of that is fake. You can't perform genuine affection and chemistry for months on end across interviews, events, and candid moments. Either it's there or it's not. And with Nicolandria, it's definitely there.
The fandom support has been incredible through all of this. Nicolandria fans, who call themselves the Nicolandria Nation or the Hive, have been relentless in defending them and celebrating their wins. Every time someone tries to tear them down, the fans show up with receipts, with logic, with unwavering support. They created a community around this couple that goes beyond typical reality TV standing. These fans genuinely care about seeing Nic and Olandria happy and successful. Nicolandria's career trajectory has been phenomenal. Remember when she tweeted back in August 2024, "If I could model full-time, a 9-to-5 would never see me again." Well, that manifestation came true faster than anyone expected. She's booking legitimate modeling jobs, gracing magazine covers, walking in fashion shows, and building relationships in an industry that notoriously rejects reality TV stars. The fact that she's breaking through those barriers speaks volumes about her work ethic, her professionalism, and her undeniable star quality.
She's been vocal about wanting her platform to inspire other women, especially those from similar backgrounds. Olandria wants women to look at her success and feel empowered, to love themselves, to be confident in all aspects of who they are. She believes confidence is beauty, and anyone who sees themselves in her should know they can achieve anything. That message resonates deeply, especially for women who rarely see themselves represented in high-fashion spaces. Nic has been supportive every step of the way. He shows up to her events when he can, hypes her up on social media, and makes it clear he's proud of what she's building. Their dynamic works because they're both invested in each other's growth, not just their relationship. They're individuals with separate goals and dreams who happen to fit really well together.
The hate hasn't stopped completely. It probably never will, as long as they're in the public eye. But the difference now is they've learned to manage it better. They don't engage with every negative comment or feel obligated to defend themselves constantly. They let their actions and their happiness speak louder than the noise. When Olandria posted about her Harper's Bazaar cover with the caption "Olember," celebrating her month of wins, that said everything. She's not focused on the haters. She's focused on winning, and she's doing exactly that. Looking at everything that's happened since Love Island USA Season 7 ended, it's wild how much drama unfolded. Cierra's exit, the mental health controversy, Ace's betrayal, Huda's scandal, the Harper's Bazaar accusations. Each situation revealed something ugly about reality TV fandoms and how quickly people turn on contestants. The parasocial relationships viewers develop with these islanders create a sense of ownership, where fans feel entitled to dictate how people should behave, who they should talk to, how fast their relationship should move. And when those expectations aren't met, the backlash can be vicious and deeply personal.
What's particularly troubling is how selective the outrage tends to be. Cierra could post a mental health video and receive an outpouring of support, which is appropriate and deserved. But when Olandria dealt with similar struggles, they were expected to suffer in silence or risk being called dramatic. The people attacking Olandria in comments, creating horrible memes, and spreading false narratives faced little to no accountability. Meanwhile, Olandria fans defending their favorites were painted as toxic and overzealous. The double standards extended to other islanders too. Taylor spent months being criticized for how he handled things with Olandria, but he also tried to explain his perspective and move forward. Ace positioned himself as a strategic mastermind, but threw his supposed friends under the bus when he felt like it. Huda faced consequences for her actions, but only after brand deals were lost, not because of genuine accountability. The whole situation exposed how performative a lot of the concern and outrage really was.
Through it all, Nicolandria proved that the best response to hate is success. Instead of getting dragged into endless Twitter feuds or responding to every accusation, they kept their heads down and kept building. Olandria booked gig after gig. Nicolandria supported her journey while building his own path. Together, they showed up to events, connected with fans in person, and demonstrated that their relationship was real, regardless of what skeptics claimed. The fact that they took second place on Love Island but became the most successful and talked about couple from Season 7 tells you everything. Winning the show and the prize money don't matter when you lose in the long run. Building a genuine connection, staying authentic, and capitalizing on opportunities, that's what creates lasting success in this industry.
As we head into 2026, it'll be interesting to see how the narrative continues to evolve. Will Cierra eventually return to social media with a healthier approach? Will Ace try to reconcile with Nic and Olandria? Or is that friendship permanently damaged? Will Huda successfully rebuild her reputation, or will the controversy follow her indefinitely? Most importantly, will Nicolandria officially put a label on their relationship, or will they continue moving at their own pace? Only time will tell, but if history is any indication, Nicolandria will keep thriving regardless of external drama. They've proven resilient in the face of massive amounts of hate, strategic in how they handle controversy, and committed to protecting their peace above all else. Those qualities, combined with undeniable chemistry and individual drive, suggest they're built to last, both as a couple and as individual stars.
Before we wrap up, one last time, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want more reality TV breakdowns, commentary on pop culture chaos, and honest takes on all the mess, go ahead and subscribe. I promise to keep bringing you content that's more entertaining than watching Ace try to convince everyone he's still friends with Nicolandria. Hit that notification bell too so you don't miss when the next batch of drama inevitably drops. Love Island USA will be back with another season eventually, probably with a whole new cast ready to create chaos and give us endless content. Until then, we'll keep watching how these Season 7 storylines develop. Will there be redemption arcs? Will new controversies emerge? Will someone write a tell-all book exposing even more behind-the-scenes drama? Honestly, at this point, anything is possible.
What we know for sure is that Nicolandria isn't going anywhere. They've weathered the storm, come out stronger, and proven that sometimes the underdog story is the one worth rooting for. They didn't need to win Love Island to win in life, and that's the real victory. Thanks for sticking around through this entire saga. Drop a comment letting me know your thoughts on everything that went down. Do you think Nicolandria will make it long-term? Should Cierra have handled things differently? Was Ace wrong for questioning their relationship publicly? I want to hear all your takes, even the messy ones. And remember, reality TV is supposed to be fun. Let's enjoy the drama without forgetting that real people are at the center of it all. These islanders signed up for an adventure, not to be torn apart by people hiding behind keyboards. We can do better as viewers and fans. Until next time, stay messy, but not too messy, and I'll catch you in the next video where we'll probably be dissecting whatever chaos happens next. Peace.